Healthy gut, better performance. But how do we get there? Hello and welcome to Feed Talks. In this episode we dive into gut health in poultry and explore how probiotics can support performance. We'll look at the key challenges producers face today and what it takes to maintain a balanced gut environment. Together with our expert, we will also discuss how the use of probiotics can make a real difference in daily practice. Here with us is Lukas Bauer from Evonik Animal Nutrition, and he will share his insights with us. Welcome, Lukas. So to start off, can you tell us what is so important about gut health and what are the main challenges?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Gut health is really important because animal welfare, animal health and animal performance are really defined by the gut health. So gut health is the foundation, and if the foundation is not good, then everything else is getting harder. Of course, the animal is stressed by a lot of different things. Heat stress, of course, diet changes, also raw material quality is changing, and that is impacting gut health to a big extent. So we really need to make sure that we control those issues to make sure that we have the best possible nutrient absorption, and with that, of course, also good animal performance.
So when we look at probiotics, can you tell us what is the mechanism of these in the gut?
Yeah, Bacillus probiotics are really widely used in poultry production. One reason behind that is that they are delivered as a spore-forming probiotic. So that spore is really resistant against heat, so which is very important for the feed production process, but also very stable in the upper gastrointestinal tract. So that's why they are so widely used. However, let's say Bacillus probiotics, they are really different, so not all of them are the same. So let's say a good outcome is not automatic, so we really need to look at different criteria, which is defining a good probiotic or spore-forming probiotic. And this is, for example, the strain quality in terms of what kind of mechanism of action it can exert. Then the next one is how many spores can actually come to the animal's intestine. And that's, of course, related to stability as well. The other thing is that spore-forming probiotics, they have also, let's say, very good effect typically on gut barrier function. They also suppress pathogens. With that, they improve, so to say, the intestinal environment, and they can also bring enzymes, additional enzymes, to the animal's intestine, or they improve the condition for animals' intestine, animals' enzymes to work. And this is really different from Bacillus-based probiotic to other Bacillus-based probiotic.
Okay, so and you were talking about some criteria to get the best, most benefits from these probiotica. Are there any other criteria?
Yeah, there is one, let's say, very important characteristic, and that is the spore outgrowth speed, as we say. So how fast does a spore transition into an active bacterial cell in the animal? And that's sometimes not really considered. But this is really a critical factor which determines the effect of the probiotic. So you can imagine if we just deliver the spore to the animal, this doesn't mean that it will bring the benefit because the spore itself is inert. So it will not give any probiotic effects. So that spore needs to become an active bacterial cell. And that speed from spore to active bacterial cell is really different between different probiotics.
So, and what is Evonik offering for a solution when we look at probiotics?
Yeah, we have actually several probiotics in our portfolio, but there's one probiotic which is specifically targeted for poultry health, and that's our product Ecobiol. So this Ecobiol is based on a Bacillus velezensis strain, which is really carefully selected out of a screening process of several hundred strains in the beginning. And what we see with this strain is that it's very fast in that outgrowth characteristic. So based on our recent tests, we see it's the fastest but this doesn't come, let's say, just out of nowhere. This actually comes from a lot of testing and improving that spore outgrowth speed. Yeah.
Okay, so that's really an important factor that you focused on, the outgrowth, the spore outgrowth. And that makes it also different than from other solutions on the market?
Yes, so this is one definitely important characteristic which sets it apart to the other probiotics. But what is also very unique about this strain is that it has several mechanism of action. So we have evidence for seven different mode of actions already now. And that's very unique because with that several mode of actions, there's also very, let's say, low likelihood that pathogens can adapt to these different mode of actions the probiotic is showing.
Yeah. So can you explain a bit more why spore outgrowth and speed is so important?
Yeah, the speed of spore outgrowth is really important, specifically in poultry, because the poultry gastrointestinal tract is very short. So that means all the feed which is uptaken by the bird has a very fast transit time through that gastrointestinal tract. And that also means the spore has a fast transit time. And that shows that we need that rapid activation of the spore to active cell. Otherwise, we don't have the prevention of gut health issues. And when you think about a young broiler chick, then of course there it's even more important. And of course in young chickens we see also very high prevalence of gut health issues.
What practical benefits do you see at poultry producers, when they're using these probiotics?
Yeah, I guess what every poultry producer experiences from time to time is that performance is dropping or is not consistent. And that of course comes from different stressors, as I explained before. So when we use the probiotic, we definitely see more consistent performance. So not too much fluctuation based on, let's say, phase of the year or whatever. Another thing is that we see improved feed efficiency. So as described before, with that improvement of enzymatic action, but also, and then in the end, of course, digestibility improvement of nutrients, we see a better feed conversion. And let's say what we see very consistently is improved litter quality. So when producers face wet litter, that can be reduced very significantly, and then of course is improving the environment for the animals and in the end also the animal welfare.
Okay, and what kind of recommendations do you have for poultry producers that like to add this to their feeding programs?
I think the first point is always to define what is the target or the aim in using it. So is it, for example, to improve performance of the birds in the starter phase? That could be one target. Is it to improve the consistency of performance overall? Is it also, let's say, for example, the wet litter issue? Yeah, and based on that, we can definitely see how to target those issues. The next step is, of course, to use the products consistently, but also as early as possible is our experience. Yeah. And the next thing is, measuring and let's say really comparing flocks with each other to see what is really the benefit and if the target can be can be fulfilled. Yeah. And finally, what we have to say, probiotics works best as a system, or in a system solution. So of course we should always make sure that diet formulation is correct, that raw material quality is correct, water hygiene should be considered, and if we make sure that all things are correct, plus on top using the probiotic, we can get the best benefit of using it.
Okay, thank you, Lukas, for being here with us and sharing your insights with us. And thank you for watching Feed Talks, and see you next time.